Hi, today we're going to discuss public relations. Public relations is defined as a group that evaluates public attitudes. It identifies policies and procedures of an individual or organization with the public interest and plans and executes a program of action to earn public understanding and acceptance. So that typical marketing definition really describes this idea that I need to find out from an organizational perspective the attitudes that different groups have towards me, whether they are the general public or their government or their employees. I need to find their attitudes and I need to create a proactive and sustained initiative to get a positive relationship with them. It's deliberate, sustained organizational activity where mutual understanding is required between the organization and its publics. When I say publics, you can change that to stakeholders. Stakeholders is a lot broader when you think of stakeholders and who that may be. We're familiar with public relations because we're a part of one of the publics. We're not the only public that's a part of it, but we have been one of them. So we use market research to find out these attitudes of the organization, of our products, of our employees. And we need to create this effective activity that will create a positive relationship and reward positive behavior that connects to us. Our public relations objectives can be formulated to support promotion and marketing objectives. Um, it's similar to a marketing campaign. However, through public relations, we're looking at kind of a softer aspect to it. We're looking at creating goodwill. We're informing and educating publics. We're not necessarily doing the hard sell, and we're certainly not aimed at increasing immediate sales in the short term. So we're looking at positive influences and positive awareness. Public opinion highly influences who we purchase from. When there's a negative connection to an organization, a brand, a player, we see immediate negative connotations from it. Therefore, a proactive approach is needed to keep these relationships and these attitudes very positive, which allows an increase of different sales in the future. So who are these publics, or what type of stakeholders there are? Brasington and Pettit in 2006 decided on looking at 6 different categories. One is commercial, customers, like most of us have been, suppliers, competitors. An authority category has government, trade associations, regulatory entities. If we're looking to build a new stadium, we want to make sure we have a great relationship with the government, the governor, people who are able to apply tax money for us. Financial, investors or shareholders, the media. We see a lot of media relations and community relations personnel being hired and developed. We need a positive influence and relationship with the media, print, visual, audio, and now we're looking at internet and bloggers being a major influence on public decisions. Internal employees, if we're looking to extend and create a long-lasting relationship, we need to make sure that, if not completely positive, at least a workable relationship with our employees. We can see this in a professional sport aspect with, labor problems that have occurred over the past generation. They may not always get along. They may be at cross purposes often, but they need to establish some sort of relationship where they have the ability to work together. And then in general, whether it's a community relations program or pressure groups, we're looking at this publics, and again, let's phrase them as stakeholders. So when we look at this different idea of being proactive, unfortunately, we need to do it reactive as well. A proactive approach is a planned effort to influence public opinions, to boost sales, enhance image, or raise awareness. If we're always reactive, then we're not doing what we can in order to be the best that we can make out there. However, we react to crisis and crisis management. We need to discuss different crises that have happened, and crisis needs to be expected and prepared for. We need not be able to anticipate it. We hope it doesn't happen. However, a situation, the catastrophic situation of a Sandusky situation may occur to us. We need to plan Who's going to speak for our department? Is it an assistant athletic director, a director, a coach, president, a public relations person, a spokesperson? How are we going to respond to a terrorist act? How are we going to respond to on-campus violence or a sexual assault claim against one of our athletes or by one of our athletes? We need to prepare for a crisis. We may not be able to comprehend what exactly it would be, but we need to be able to expect and prepare for something. When we look at public relations, we look at ethics, the standards that people follow with others, that really shows an integrity that we have, both as individuals and as an organization. One of the goals of PR is to enhance the public trust. We look at PR maybe somewhat negatively, perhaps. We can look at PR as kind of whitewashing different things. We look at Nike with their public relations and how convincing they are to the public welfare, that a lot of their internal actions, certainly the way that they manufacture their footwear and athletic gear out of Southeast Asia, is certainly not what the public relations delivers to the general public. So perhaps we're telling people things that are different than what we really do. One of the major aspects that we have is this idea of media relations, and how we treat the media is vitally important, because the media has the last opinion. One of the reasons why a lot of people look perhaps negatively on the 96 Atlanta Summer Games was the idea that the media was treated in a way that they weren't normally accustomed to. It was very hot. The traffic was bad. A lot of media people missed events. So that came through, that attitude came through during their telecasts and during their writings about how this event was different than previous Olympics. Good news is, as sport organizations, we get a lot of free publicity. Bad news is that that publicity can't be controlled, and negative stories are delivered very frequently, and becoming even more so as we look at this idea that particular blogs and different organizations specialize in negative stories. In order to maintain a proactive media relationship, we need to make sure that we have the correct forums, we inform, and we are informal with our media relationships. So we look at the forums, whether it includes the media that routinely covers it, the contacts, the personal contacts, the media, the press releases. All of that is done through our database, making sure that we give access to broadcast and print media people in a particular mode that they need to be. When we inform it, the actual press release itself needs to be catchy and informative. It must give the information correctly, must give contact information. Major causes of rejection of press releases, why they're not used in developing stories, is limited reader interest. If we're always sending out press release over every little thing, it may not be as important as the media may want it to be. Poor expressions or conflicts with their policies. It's hard to distinguish them from advertising if we try to keep getting the brand in there as opposed to what the interested story is. If the story itself is exaggerated or has inaccuracies or has been redundantly presented. The press conference is a major aspect to it. Calling a press conference or having a weekly press conference is very important as we look at these different ideas of getting information out. And as we're looking at this different ideas of public relations, we're certainly seeing a dichotomy and a paradigm shift away from just leagues and organizations to individual players now able to go directly to the media without using a press conference, or even skipping the media completely and using Twitter or Facebook or other social media platforms to deliver messages to the community without going through either the media itself or a different type of middleman. We can use informal interviews. As we look at this idea of how to deliver public relations or how to give an interview, we want to make sure that we have credibility as an organization. We're picking the best spokesperson to reflect the gravity of the story, as well as a person who has the information. Getting information, answering questions that the media may have is a great way to have them present the material in the best possible manner for an organization. Here are a bunch of links to some famous or infamous interviews that I've collected over time. And publicity is this generation of news about a person, product. We did a promotion a few years ago where we took Nestle have nibs, little ice cream chunks that are wrapped in chocolate. And we went and did a sampling promotion in some minor league baseball secondary markets. The idea wasn't just to generate sampling numbers because it wasn't a lot of samples that we could get out there. We'd go to minor league baseball games and only give out maybe a couple thousand. If you're looking at a market, you'd want to get many times that to get people to try it. But what we wanted to do was we measure our success based on publicity. How many local broadcast networks and print media told that story in their newspapers, magazines, and on their telecasts? We're looking at highlights from today's baseball game beforehand. Here are a bunch of people from Nestle handing out these dibs. So what kind of publicity that we got? That's how we measured a success. Reputation management, proactive and reactive, is very important for organizations. Excellent reputation management leads to a competitive brand advantage because we like buying and consuming stuff that we enjoy. We've seen a lot of people turn off from different types of sport because of negative aspects to it. Maybe the violent nature, or maybe sexual assault, or whatever stories are coming out these days have negative connotations and may drive away some consumers. Some issues: an emotional appeal, products and services, financial performance, vision and leadership, workplace environment, social responsibility. Again, we can look at these different categories and apply them to those different stakeholders that we're looking to generate this public relations and this reputation to. Advantages and disadvantages of public relations. Advantages: it's highly credible. A third party, unbiased, unpaid person is delivering this information for us. It creates excitement. It's low cost, basically personnel costs, so somebody else is delivering that communication. No clutter because it's not within an advertising platform. Some negatives: uncontrollable the publicity, negative publicity. We're having negative stories being delivered very quickly and we have to respond to it.